I think it's pretty cool whenever you get an opportunity to witness things, whether you're in person, whether you see it on television, whether you hear about it. I just think it's really, really cool that we get to witness certain things in history. And for the 2024 Major League Baseball season, that is exactly what we have seen again. I mean, we saw it last year with Ronald Acuna Jr., but he needs to step aside because the showman, Shohei himself, has now etched himself in the lores of things that we have never seen before. He is a true unicorn. Willie Epting Jr., hashtag Brothers of Baseball Show, big game, Christian Sports Network. It's your boy checking in live, loud, and in color. You already know what it is. Big day. What's going on? Baseball fans all over the planet. The hunt for October. Shohei Ohtani. We got to get to it here in just a second, man. This first segment, it is being brought to you by us. Who is us? We are us. Who are we? We are the Big Game Christian Sports Network. We would like to get your feedback on our network. Your feedback will help us to improve and present to you, the listener, with the best programming for your listening enjoyment. Just leave your first initial and your last name, as well as your feedback at comments at BGCSports.net. Again, that is comments at BGCSports.net. And thank you for making us better and your first choice for sports talk that is lit. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on Facebook through my personal page, through the media group's page, as well as the BGC Sports Network page, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course, Twitter. Big day. Look, we need to get right into it, man. There's a few things that I want to talk about before we actually get to the record-setting home run, 50th home run by Shohei Ohtani on Thursday. There was a lot of great baseball played with a lot of stakes still being very, very high in terms of postseason ramifications or implications, rather. Shout out to the Baltimore Orioles. They kind of stopped a little bit of a skid against the San Francisco Giants in a walk-off fashion. Once again, my boy Anthony Santander hits his 42nd, goes deep, and they walk off the Giants to salvage the series in Baltimore. The Yankees are still 5 games ahead of the Orioles in the AL East. I think it may be a foregone conclusion that they're going to win that division. Congratulations to Jose Trevino and Colin Thoreau, my boys with the Yankees, as they have clinched a playoff spot. Yet to be determined if they're going to get that AL East crown, plus the best record in the American League. And speaking of just that, the Cleveland Guardians in a game against the Minnesota Twins, in which they did take their soul, as we talked about in the previous episode and what Mark DeRosa alluded to on MLB Central earlier in the week. Yeah, they took 3 or 4 from the Twins. It may have been a sweep, but I know it was at least 3 or 4 from the Twins, further putting the nail in the proverbial coffin of the postseason hopes for the Minnesota Twins, as they are now 5 games up, or maybe 6 games up, over the Kansas City Royals, who by the way, got swept by the hard-charging Detroit Tigers. The Tigers are in a dead heat with the Minnesota Twins for the final wild card spot in the American League. Wouldn't it be something if this team makes it to the playoffs after not that long ago being like one of the armpits of the American League? Now, of course, there's still a lot of games to be played. I mean, we're going to talk about the weekend series in the third segment, rather, with the hashtag look ahead. But yeah, so the art of the walk-off showed up again big time in the Baltimore series, as well as in the Cleveland series. And the Guardians are that much closer to clinching the AL Central. As a matter of fact, with the win over the Twins in this series, they actually clinched the playoff spot as well. So there's 4 left. You have the AL West that's still up for grabs. That's probably going to end up going to Houston before it's all said and done. And then you've got those 3 dog fights, those bloodbaths for those 3 wild card spots in the American League: Detroit, Kansas City, Minnesota, and Baltimore, all in contention for that. And if you had to ask me right now, which one of those teams is going to not make it, it's going to be the Minnesota Twins. They're not going to get there, especially if I'm not mistaken. The Twins and the Tigers do have a series left, if I'm not mistaken. So That in itself, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be all she wrote for the Twins. And they were close. They were close, but the Guardians, they just turned it on. Stephen Vogt, first-year manager in the Cleatown, goes on and leads that team to the playoffs in his first season as a skipper there in Cuyahoga County. All right, big day. Let's go ahead and talk about why we are here, because Shohei Ohtani has done it again. I mean, just when you think you don't have any more words to describe this dude, and then he goes and does it. Stole his 50th base, I want to say, in the game it was either on Wednesday or Thursday, against Miami down in South Florida. In the game on Thursday, the nightcap of the series, en route to a Dodgers rout. I mean, like 20-3. Shohei Ohtani goes deep for number 49. And then later on in the game, a funny little thing happened on the way to 50. Let's get it.
In the air, deep right field. He's in a world of his own. In 135 years of Dodger baseball, Shohei Ohtani, his 49 home runs, matching Shawn Green for the most in a single season. And he's one shy of the first 50-50 campaign in baseball history.
An amazing blast. Majestic.
Okay. So this is number 49.
The second deck.
This is number 49, right? So with that being number 49, the 50th one came later on in the contest, and I thought I had it ready to play, but obviously the producer behind the scenes, that will be me, messed it up. But be that as it may, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, never to be done before in the major leagues in the 150 years of player, however long it's been. So it lends me to think of a few things that I have questions about. Number one, do we think that something like this will ever be done again? Why not? I mean, Ohtani, is not like Ohtani is on the downslide of his peak. Why not? Why not? I just don't know what else to say. For a Dodgers team that spent over $700 million just on him alone, for a Dodgers team that spent over $1 billion in the offseason getting the players that they got, and that's not even to mention the ones that they traded for at the deadline. This team, anything short of a World Series championship, will be a failure. We know that Shohei Ohtani is going to be the National League MVP. I'm putting it out there now. If I had a vote, and if I was the only one voting that had a vote, and it was only needed, one vote was needed for him to win the MVP, it would be unanimous. Because he is going to be a unanimous choice for the National League MVP. If he's not, then there's just somebody out there that just doesn't like him, or they're getting paid off or something. But 51 stolen. And let me just kind of dive in a little bit. I mean, the home runs, yeah, that's great. Major League Baseball, for the better part of the last 30 years, right? Including up to and including and then after the performance enhancing drug era or steroid era. The home runs have been there. They're going to continue to be there. But what is so miraculous about this particular feat, ladies and gentlemen, is the stolen bases and how baseball saw that it was incumbent upon themselves to change the rules, not just to speed up the pace of the game, but to make it more athletic. So the advent of the enlargement of the bases has a lot to do with this said record. And I'm so happy that they did it, because now for people that keep saying, well, baseball's too slow, it's boring. You tell me what's boring about that. When you got a crowd of people in the visitors' venue and they're chanting MVP, whether they're Dodger fans or not. The bottom line is you got people in the visitors' venue. They are the visitor. They were in Miami and they were chanting MVP for Shohei Ohtani. That is exciting stuff. It is nothing boring about that. So the fact that the 50 home runs, yeah, he broke Sean Green's record of 49. I think dang, who was it? I can't even think of his name right now. He played third base for the Dodgers, and then he went to Seattle. Then he went to Boston. Then he came to Texas. He's just got in the Hall of Fame. We talked about it earlier in the season when he got inducted. I can't even think of his name right now. Oh, Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre, I think he had 48 the year before he went to Seattle. But to get 50, especially in that ballpark where you play your home games in that ballpark without the said stuff, is tremendous. But the stolen base aspect of it is the thing that nobody thought in the last the last couple of decades of Major League Baseball and the way that it was being played would ever see somebody get to this level because of the stolen bases or the lack thereof that had been going on for so long. And now look at what has happened in the last 2 years. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited and amped up about this. It ain't even funny. Look at what has happened in the last 2 years. You had your first 40-70 guy, Ronald Acuna Jr., 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. You got Ellie De La Cruz for the Cincinnati Reds. He has over 60 stolen bases. He may be able to be one of those guys that gets to like 30 and 60 at some point in his career because he's just that good. Then you talk about all of the other cats out there, the Frankie Lindors, the Jose Ramirez's, the Bobby Witt Jr.'s. You talk about the Gunnar Hendersons. All these cats, man, that are hitting home runs at ridiculous paces and ridiculous rates, but they're also coupling stolen bases with it as well. And that, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most exciting parts about this stat. Because, again, the baseball, the home runs, we're going to see that. We're going to continue to see that. And it's great. But, man, the way that the stolen base has made a ShakeBack, you see what I did there? The way that the stolen base has made a ShakeBack into baseball, I'm hoping that it is going to somehow spur an evolution of the way that the game is being played, not only with the power that we see from these cats, but with the speed and the ability to beat people with your base running and your base running IQ. That, to me, is really, really exciting when you talk about this. And all of this going on during one of the most exciting stretches to get to the postseason that I've seen in recent memory. I mean, like, when you talk about these races and what's so at stake, as we talked about earlier in this segment, and then we're going to talk about it in the second and the third segments. When you talk about the stakes that are so high and to be able to perform this way, take, for instance, Bobby Witt Jr. He's a member of the 30-30 club for the second straight year, but his team is fighting for a playoff spot. That means you have to play your best when the stage is the biggest, when the lights are the brightest, and these guys are doing it, and it is exciting. It is very exciting. So, congratulations, Shohei Ohtani. You are look, you and Aaron Judge just might be the first tandem of, well, no, I don't think Aaron Judge is going to be a unanimous choice for AL MVP because he's got some stiff competition. But in the National League, man, it is Ohtani's, and it is Ohtani's all by himself. 51 home runs or 50 home runs and 51 stolen bases, and they still got some games to play, and they still have a lot to play for because they want that number one seed in the National League so they can have home field advantage throughout the playoffs as long as they're in it. The Philadelphia Phillies right now have that distinction, and the Phillies have gotten hot. So you best believe that there's still there's still a lot to play for the Dodgers in that lineup that is loaded with so many great bats with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Will Smith, Gavin Lux. You just keep on going. Teoscar Hernandez, who won the freaking home run derby back in the summer. He's still rolling. He's still rolling. And for that team to put up a 20 spot in the most historical, one of the most historical records that we may never, ever see broken again in the heat of trying to hold off the Padres and the Diamondbacks in the National League West to secure their 9th consecutive West championship. Man, that's big time. is big time and it's exciting, and I'm here for it. And it is the reason why you hear the passion behind the voice and the emotion in the face that is me when it comes to this sport. All right, coming back on the other side of the break. We got the power rankings and so much more. Willie Epting Jr., Big Day, #Brothers of Baseball Show. Y'all come back and holler at us.